The sun was hot over Naval Base Norfolk that Tuesday afternoon. Diana Washington walked to the main gate, wearing simple blue jeans and a plain white t-shirt. Her gray hair was pulled back in a neat bun. She carried a small black backpack over one shoulder. To anyone watching, she looked like somebody's grandmother coming to visit. But Diana wasn't visiting. She was working. The security guard barely looked at her ID card before waving her through. Diana noticed this. She noticed everything. That's what made her good at her job. Inside the base cafeteria, the lunch rush was starting. Sailors in their uniforms lined up for food. The smell of hamburgers and French fries filled the air. Metal trays clattered. People laughed and talked loudly. Diana bought a simple sandwich and found a corner table. She sat down quietly and pulled out a book. But she wasn't really reading. Her eyes moved around the room, watching, listening, remembering. Well, what do we have here? The voice was loud and mocking. Diana looked up slowly. A tall man in a Navy SEAL uniform stood over her table. His name tag said Morrison. 3 other SEALs stood behind him, all grinning like this was the funniest thing they'd seen all day. "Ma'am, this is a military cafeteria," Morrison said, his voice dripping with fake politeness. "Did you get lost looking for the visitor center?" Diana met his eyes calmly. "I have clearance to be here." Morrison laughed. His friends laughed too. "Clearance? Did you hear that, boys? She has clearance." He leaned down, putting his hands on Diana's table. His face was close to hers now. "Let me explain something to you, Grandma. This cafeteria is for warriors, for people who actually serve, not for random civilians wandering around." Diana's expression didn't change. She simply looked at him, then at each of his friends. She read their name tags. Chun, Rodriguez, Kowalski. She memorized their faces, every detail. "I have every right to be here," Diana said quietly. Morrison's smile got bigger and meaner. "Oh, you have rights? Tell you what, since you're on a military base, let's teach you some military respect. Stand up and salute me." The cafeteria was getting quieter. People at nearby tables were starting to watch. Diana stayed seated. "I don't think that's necessary." "I think it is," Morrison said, his voice harder now. "See, I'm a lieutenant in the United States Navy SEALs. That's a rank earned through blood, sweat, and tears." "What's your rank, ma'am?" "Assistant lunch lady." His friends burst out laughing. Chun high-fived Rodriguez. Diana carefully closed her book. She stood up slowly. She was shorter than Morrison, older, and wore no uniform. But something in the way she stood made Morrison's smile flicker for just a second. "My rank," Diana said calmly, "is not your concern right now." Morrison's face turned red. "Everything on this base is my concern. You will show respect to superior officers, or you will leave. Those are your choices." "I choose to finish my lunch," Diana replied. She sat back down. The cafeteria went completely silent. Morrison's jaw clenched. He looked around at all the watching faces, then back at Diana. "You're making a big mistake, lady." "Perhaps," Diana said. She pulled out her sandwich and took a bite, looking directly at him while she chewed. Morrison slammed his hand on the table, making her tray jump. "I could have you removed from this base in 5 minutes." "You could try," Diana said softly. For a long moment, Morrison just stared at her. Then he turned to his friends. "Come on, let's let Grandma finish her little lunch. But I'll be filing a report about this, about civilians who don't understand respect." As they walked away, Chin turned back. "Yo, Morrison teaches civilians real quick." The group laughed again, loud enough for everyone to hear. Diana watched them go. Then she pulled out a small notebook from her backpack. In tiny, neat handwriting, she wrote down 4 names. She wrote down the time, 12:47 p.m. She wrote down what was said, who was watching, everything. An older sailor at the next table leaned over. "Ma'am, are you okay?" Those guys were way out of line. Diana gave him a gentle smile. "I'm fine, thank you. What's your name, son?" "Petty Officer Marcus Green, ma'am." Diana wrote that down too. "Thank you for your kindness, Marcus. Would you be willing to write down what you just saw?" as a witness statement. Marcus looked confused. A witness statement? Are you some kind of investigator? Diana's smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Something like that. Over the next hour, Diana watched Morrison's group move through the cafeteria. They stopped at 3 different tables where women were sitting. Each time, Morrison made loud jokes. "Did you ask permission to sit there, sailor?" Or, "Let me see if you've earned the right to eat lunch today." The women looked uncomfortable. Some laughed nervously. No one challenged him. Diana wrote it all down. At 2:15 p.m., Morrison walked past Diana's table again. He stopped. "You're still here?" "I am," Diana said. "This is getting sad, lady. Really sad." He shook his head like he felt sorry for her. "Let me guess. Your grandson is stationed here, and you're trying to feel important by hanging around his workplace." "No," Diana said simply. Morrison leaned close and whispered, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "Here's some free advice. Go home. Bake cookies. Leave the military to real soldiers. Because if I see you disrespecting this cafeteria again with your presence, it won't be pretty." Diana looked up at him. Her eyes were calm, but somehow very cold. "Noted, Lieutenant Morrison. Is there anything else?" Something about the way she said his name made Morrison uncomfortable, but he covered it with another laugh. "Just stay out of my way." He walked off, his friends following like shadows. Diana added more notes to her book. Then she pulled out her phone and typed a text message to a number with no name attached. Pattern confirmed. Morrison, J, leading element. Recommend continue observation 48 more hours before action. The reply came fast. Agreed. Stay safe. Diana finished her sandwich. She watched Morrison across the cafeteria, teaching his friend some hand-to-hand combat move, demonstrating on Chun. Everyone laughing. She wondered if Morrison had any idea what was coming. She wondered if he'd remember this moment, this lunch, this day he decided to humiliate a quiet woman in a cafeteria. Diana closed her notebook. Tomorrow she would come back. Tomorrow she would watch more. And when the time was right, when she had every piece of evidence lined up perfectly, tomorrow would become Judgment Day. But for now, she simply stood, threw away her trash, and walked out of the cafeteria with her head held high. Behind her, Morrison pointed at her back and made his friends laugh one more time. None of them noticed the 3-star general sitting in the corner who had watched the whole thing. None of them noticed he was writing in a notebook, too. Diana Washington had been a soldier for 32 years. She joined the Army when she was 18 years old, back when some people still didn't think women belonged in the military. She proved them wrong. She proved them wrong in the desert. She proved them wrong in the mountains. She proved them wrong every single day. By age 30, she was a captain. By 40, a major. By 45, she wore the silver eagles of a full colonel. But the rank she held now? Almost nobody knew about it. That Wednesday morning, Diana returned to Naval Base Norfolk, wearing the same plain clothes. Same jeans. Same white T-shirt. Same backpack. She walked through the gate at exactly 7:30 a.m. The same guard waved her through, without really looking. Diana made a note. Security protocols weak. Third day, same guard, still no thorough ID check. She headed straight for cafeteria, but this time she arrived early. Only a few people were eating breakfast. Diana chose a different corner table, one with a view of the entire room. She pulled out her phone, an open app that looked like a simple notepad. But when she typed in a 12-digit code, the screen changed. Now it showed her real mission, Operation Dignified Service, Norfolk Discrimination Investigation. Below that, a growing list of complaints. 15 women reported harassment. In 3 months, 8 mentioned Lieutenant Morrison. By name 3 filed official complaints that mysteriously disappeared. Base commander claimed no evidence of systematic problems. That's why Diana was here. When official complaints vanish, when commanders look the other way, when the system protects bullies instead of victims, that's when they sent Diana. She wasn't just a colonel. She was a special investigator for the Department of Defense Inspector General's office. Her job was to go undercover, see what really happened, and build cases so strong that nobody could ignore them. At 8:15 a.m., Morrison walked in with his crew. Diana watched him grab a breakfast tray. He was loud, laughing, slapping Chin on the back. They sat at a center table, right where everyone could see them. "Yo, did you guys see that old lady yesterday?" Rodriguez said, loud enough for half the cafeteria to hear. Morrison had her shaking. Morrison grinned. "Just teaching civilians about respect. It's like training puppies. You gotta be firm." They all laughed. Diana took out her phone and pretended to read messages. But the phone was recording everything. Every word. Every laugh. A young female sailor walked past Morrison's table carrying her breakfast. "Hold up, sailor," Morrison called out. "Did you get permission to walk past a superior officer without acknowledging?" The woman stopped. She looked confused and scared. I'm sorry, sir. Good morning, sir." Morrison made her stand there while he slowly finished chewing his food. "That's better. Discipline starts with the small things. You can go now." The woman hurried away, her face red. Diana's phone captured it all. This went on for 3 more days. Each morning, Diana arrived early. Each day, she sat in different spots. She watched Morrison interact with dozens of people. She noticed patterns. He was charming to senior male officers, respectful and professional. He was funny and friendly with his SEAL buddies. They loved him. But with women, especially black and brown women, especially lower-ranking women, he became something else. A teacher who didn't really want to teach. A leader who wanted followers to feel small. Diana interviewed people too, but carefully. She pretended to be a confused visitor asking for directions. "Excuse me, I'm looking for the visitor center. Have you worked here long? Do you like it?" People open up to a kind grandmother. They told her things they'd never put in official reports. Petty Officer Sarah Chun, no relation to Morrison's friend, whispered, "I reported him 6 months ago. My commander said I was being too sensitive. That Morrison was just old-school military." But old school doesn't mean mean, does it? Seaman Jennifer Brooks cried while talking. "He made me do push-ups in front of everyone because my uniform wasn't perfect. But 3 guys had the same issue, and he just laughed with them. I wanted to quit that day." Diana wrote down every story, every name, every detail. On Friday afternoon, Morrison saw Diana again in the cafeteria. His face lit up like he'd found a new toy. "Grandma's back," he announced to the whole room. "Somebody's got to teach her about military bases. This isn't a public park, ma'am." Diana looked up from her soup. "I'm aware, Lieutenant." Morrison walked over to her table. "Are you? Because I've seen you here 4 days in a row now. That's suspicious. Real suspicious." "I have clearance," Diana repeated calmly. "Then show me your clearance papers. Right now." Diana reached into her backpack slowly. She pulled out an ID card and handed it to Morrison. He looked at it and frowned. "This says DOD civilian contractor." "See, that's what I thought. You're not military. You're just a contractor. Probably clean toilets or something." His friends laughed right on cue. "My work is administrative," Diana said, taking back her ID. "Administrative," Morrison repeated, mocking her tone. "Let me tell you something about administration, lady. Real military work happens out in the field, in combat, in the ocean, not in offices pushing papers." Diana stirred her soup slowly. "You've seen combat, then?" Morrison's chest puffed up. 2 tours in Afghanistan, 3 in Iraq. "I've earned every stripe and every commendation." "What have you earned?" "Respect," Diana said quietly. "By treating people with dignity." Morrison's smile disappeared. "You calling me disrespectful?" "I'm saying dignity matters." The cafeteria got very quiet again. People were watching, just like before. Morrison leaned down close. "Listen carefully, contractor. I don't know who you think you are, but you're on MY base now. You breathe because we warriors protect you. You sleep safe because we fight. So maybe show a little gratitude instead of attitude." Diana met his eyes steadily. "This isn't your base, Lieutenant. It belongs to the United States Navy. You just work here. Like me." Morrison's face went purple. That's IT. I'm reporting you to base security. I want you removed and banned. That's your right, Diana said. But before you do, ask yourself, do you really want to start an official investigation into who I am and why I'm here? Something flickered in Morrison's eyes. Doubt? Fear? But it passed quickly, replaced by anger. I don't care who you are. You're nothing. A nobody playing pretend on a military base. Diana pulled out her phone. Do you consent to this conversation being recorded, Lieutenant Morrison? Morrison froze. What? I asked if you consent to. I heard you. Morrison stepped back. Have you been recording me? Diana's expression was completely calm. I'm asking for consent now. For this conversation. Moving forward. Morrison looked around wildly. People were staring. You can't record on a military base without permission. Actually, Diana said softly, investigators can, with proper authorization. Investigators? Morrison's voice cracked slightly. You're not an investigator. You're just some old woman with delusions. Diana stood up. Even though Morrison was taller, somehow she seemed bigger in that moment. Lieutenant James Morrison, service number 5547-889-23, currently assigned to SEAL Team 7. You've been on this base for 14 months. In that time, 15 formal complaints have been filed regarding discrimination and harassment. 8 mention you by name. 3 of those complaints mysteriously disappeared before reaching base command. Morrison's face went white. I've spent 5 days observing your behavior. Diana continued. I've documented 43 separate incidents of inappropriate conduct. I have recordings, witness statements, and testimony from 17 service members who were too afraid to report you officially. Who are you? Morrison whispered. Diana picked up her backpack. I'm the person who shows up when the system fails. When commanders protect bullies instead of soldiers. When reports get buried and victims get silenced. She walked past him toward the exit. Then she stopped and turned back. Oh, and Lieutenant? You should probably call your lawyer. Diana walked out of the cafeteria. Behind her, Morrison stood frozen. His friends looked scared. The whole cafeteria buzzed with whispers. Outside, Diana pulled out her phone and sent a message. Evidence collection complete. Subject confronted and warned. Ready to proceed to Phase 2. The reply came instantly. Phase 2 approved. General Hayes arrives Monday 0800. Prepare for revelation. Diana allowed herself a small smile. Morrison had no idea what Monday would bring. But she did. Justice was coming. And it wore stars on its shoulders. Monday morning arrived cold and clear. Diana Washington wore her uniform for the first time since arriving at Naval Base Norfolk. But not just any uniform. The one from her closet at home. The one she'd earned over 3 decades of service. She stood in front of her hotel mirror and carefully pinned each medal to her chest. The Bronze Star, the Purple Heart, the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, 12 others below those. Then she attached her rank insignia, not the silver eagles of a colonel. 4 stars, gleaming silver stars. Diana Washington wasn't just a colonel anymore. 3 months ago, the president himself had promoted her to brigadier general. But that promotion was secret, kept quiet for exactly this kind of investigation. Because sometimes the only way to catch predators was to look like prey. She arrived at the base at 7:45 a.m. The guard's eyes went wide when he saw her uniform. He jumped to attention and saluted so fast he nearly dropped his clipboard. General, I didn't know. Nobody told us. At ease, son, Diana said kindly. You didn't know because you weren't supposed to know. Is the base commander expecting me? Yes, ma'am. He's waiting in his office with... The guard swallowed hard. With several other generals, ma'am. Diana smiled. Perfect. She walked through the base and people stared. Enlisted sailors saluted. Officers saluted. Everyone whispered. Who was this general? Where did she come from? Those 4 stars, was this real? At exactly 8 a.m., Diana entered the cafeteria. Morrison was already there with his usual group, eating breakfast and laughing about something. He hadn't seen her yet, but other people had. A wave of silence spread through the room as people stood and saluted. One by one, table by table, the entire cafeteria rose to attention. Morrison looked up confused. "What's everyone?" Then he saw her. His fork clattered onto his plate. Diana walked straight to the center of the cafeteria. Her shoes clicked on the tile floor. Click, click, click. The only sound in the entire room. "As you were," she said clearly. People sat down, but nobody looked away. Diana walked directly to Morrison's table. He tried to stand, but his legs seemed frozen. "Lieutenant Morrison," Diana said. Her voice wasn't loud, but everyone heard it. You're... Morrison couldn't form words. "I'm Brigadier General Diana Washington, Department of Defense Inspector General's office. I believe we've met several times over the past week. You gave me quite a bit of advice about military respect. Remember?" Morrison's face went from white to red to gray. "General, I had no idea if I had known. If you had known my rank, you would have treated me with respect?" Diana's eyebrow raised. "But because you thought I was just a civilian, just a contractor, just an old woman, I deserve mockery, humiliation, public degradation? No, I was just..." Morrison looked around desperately for help. His friends stared at their plates. "You were just what, Lieutenant? Teaching me a lesson? Showing me my place?" The cafeteria doors opened. 5 people walked in, and the room exploded with movement as everyone jumped to attention again. 3 Navy admirals, 1 Marine Corps general, and leading them all, a black woman wearing 4 stars just like Diana's, General Patricia Hayes, commander of Naval Atlantic Command, the most powerful naval officer on the East Coast. General Hayes walked straight to Diana. They faced each other, 2 black women generals, surrounded by hundreds of watching service members. Hayes saluted first. Diana returned it crisply. "General Washington," Hayes said formally, "thank you for your service to this investigation. Your findings have been reviewed by the Joint Chiefs and the Secretary of Defense." "Thank you, General Hayes. I'm ready to present my full report." Hayes turned to face the cafeteria. "Everyone remain at attention. What you're about to hear concerns every person on this base." She nodded to Diana. Diana pulled out her tablet. "Over the past 7 days, I documented systematic harassment and discrimination at Naval Base Norfolk. Specifically, I observed Lieutenant James Morrison engage in 43 separate incidents of inappropriate conduct targeting women and people of color." She swiped her tablet. A large screen on the cafeteria wall lit up. Morrison's voice filled the room. "Just teaching civilians about respect. It's like training puppies. You gotta be firm." The recording continued. Every cruel joke, every mocking laugh, every time Morrison had made someone feel small. Morrison's face was pure horror. "Those recordings aren't legal. You can't." "I can," Diana said quietly, "with proper authorization from the Inspector General's office, which I had from day one. Every recording is completely legal and admissible." General Hayes stepped forward. "Lieutenant Morrison, you are hereby relieved of duty pending court-martial. The charges include conduct unbecoming an officer, discrimination, harassment, and abuse of authority. You will surrender your weapon and base privileges immediately." 2 military police officers appeared from the doorway. Morrison stood shakily. "This is insane. It's military culture. Being tough. That's what SEALs do." Diana's voice cut through his excuses like a knife. "No, Lieutenant. That's what bullies do. And they hide behind words like tough and standards and tradition to justify cruelty." She walked closer to him. "I've served 32 years. I've led soldiers in combat. I've earned every rank through blood, sweat, excellence, and integrity. That is military culture. What you did, that's just cowardice dressed in camouflage." The military police took Morrison's arms. As they led him toward the door, Diana called out, "Lieutenant." He turned. "One more thing. Those 3 complaints that disappeared, I found them. They were deleted from the system by someone with command-level access. We're investigating that too. So if you're thinking about who might help you, don't. They're trying to save themselves. Morrison's legs nearly gave out. The MPs had to hold him up as they took him away. The cafeteria remained silent. General Hayes addressed the room. Let me be absolutely clear. What happened here is unacceptable. For too long, we've tolerated behavior that drives away our best people. For too long, we confuse cruelty with strength. She paused, letting her words sink in. Effective immediately, Naval Base Norfolk will undergo comprehensive equal opportunity training. Every commanding officer will be recertified in discrimination prevention, and we're establishing new reporting channels that bypass base command and go directly to the Inspector General's office. Hayes looked at Diana. General Washington will lead this reform effort across all Atlantic command bases. She has the full authority of the Joint Chiefs and the Secretary of Defense. Diana stepped forward. I want to say something to every person in this room. If you've been harassed, discriminated against, or made to feel less than because of your race, gender, religion, or anything else, it is not your fault. You are not too sensitive. You do not deserve it. Her voice grew stronger. Military excellence has no color. Leadership has no gender. Dignity belongs to everyone who wears this uniform. And if someone tries to take that dignity away, you have the right and now the tools to fight back. People began to cry, not from sadness, but from relief, from feeling seen, from finally being heard. Over the next 3 weeks, everything changed. Morrison's court-martial was swift. The evidence was overwhelming. He received a dishonorable discharge, lost all benefits, and faced criminal charges for destroying official complaints. The base commander who had helped cover up complaints was forced to retire early. 7 other officers received formal reprimands for creating hostile environments. But the real changes went deeper. Diana established dignity teams at every base, groups of trained officers who investigated discrimination complaints quickly and thoroughly. She created anonymous reporting apps that sent alerts directly to the Inspector General. She convinced Congress to pass new laws protecting whistleblowers in the military. Within 6 months, reports of discrimination dropped by 60%, not because it stopped happening, but because when it did happen, it was dealt with swiftly and publicly. 1 year later, Diana stood in the same Naval Base Norfolk cafeteria. She was there for a ceremony honoring the 17 service members who had given statements during the investigation. They were receiving commendations for courage. Petty Officer Sarachin approached her after the ceremony. General Washington, I just want to say thank you. I was going to quit the Navy. I felt so small, so worthless, but you showed me that I matter, that we all matter. Diana hugged her. You always mattered, Sarah. I just helped other people see it. As Diana left the base that day, she passed the guard station. A young black woman in uniform saluted her. Diana returned the salute, then paused. What's your name, sailor? Semman Rickreed Johnson, Mom. I just graduated boot camp last month. How are you finding the Navy so far? Johnson smiled brightly. It's amazing, ma'am. My commander is tough but fair. Everyone treats each other with respect. I heard it wasn't always like this, but I'm glad it is now. Diana felt her heart swell. So am I, Seaman. So am I. She walked to her car, thinking about Morrison. He had tried to make her feel powerless, invisible, worthless. Instead, he'd given her the evidence to change an entire system. Sometimes the people who try to tear you down give you exactly what you need to build something better. Epilogue. Today, Brigadier General Diana Washington serves as the Director of Equal Opportunity and Diversity for the Department of Defense. Her reforms have spread throughout all branches of the military. Lieutenant Morrison works at a car wash in Ohio. He tells people he used to be a Navy SEAL. Most don't believe him. The 17 service members who testified received promotions and commendations. 3 have already made officer ranks. And in cafeterias across Naval Base Norfolk, a new tradition has started. When someone sits down to eat, people look out for each other. They speak up when they see wrong. They remember that dignity isn't a reward to be earned. It's a right that belongs to everyone. Because one woman refused to accept humiliation. One woman documented everything. One woman transformed pain into purpose, and that made all the difference. If this story moved you, inspired you, or made you think differently about courage and justice, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe to our channel for more true stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Your support helps us tell stories that matter, stories that change hearts, stories that remind us all dignity is not negotiable, and justice is always worth fighting for. Drop a comment below. What would you do if you witnessed discrimination? How can we all be more like General Washington in our daily lives? Thank you for watching. Stand strong, stand together, and never stop fighting for what's right.